For a long time after the initial AI boom, most chatbots were great for general questions, but always felt a little bit short on current events or developments. However, that was changed completely with the introduction of RAG. And here's the kicker. If you've used ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or Perplexity recently, you were probably already using it without even knowing. I'm Manfredas from Oxylabs, and in this video I'll explain what RAG is, how it works, and why it makes today's AI systems much more reliable in the real world. Before diving into definition, we need to start with a simple problem. On their own, large language models don't actually look things up. They generate answers based on patterns learned during training. And this creates three big limitations. Their knowledge can be outdated, they can hallucinate when unsure, and they can't see any proprietary data. So if you ask a base model a question it doesn't know, it won't say, "I don't know," but it will try to guess. RAG exists to fix this shortcoming. Not by changing the model, but by changing what the model sees before it answers. So, what is RAG exactly? This acronym stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Retrieval is the key word here. Instead of asking a language model to answer only from its training data, you first retrieve relevant information such as documentation, files, or web data, and then let the model generate the answer with all the context in front of it. In other words, RAG means find first, then generate. Now, to get a better feel on how that works, let's look at a basic flow of a RAG system. This is the core idea, and it stays pretty much the same in almost every implementation. First, the user asks a question. Next, the system searches for relevant information in the retrieval layer. Then the retrieval information is assembled into context, basically adding to the prompt. Only after that, the language model itself gets involved. And finally, the model generates an answer grounded in what it was given. This is an important bit. The language model never goes out to search on its own. All the looking things up happens before the model is even called. Now, let's zoom into the most important part of RAG, the retrieval layer. This is where most of the flexibility and the power comes from. Most RAG systems start by searching internal sources. That could be PDFs, knowledge bases, company documents, or structured datasets. A RAG system uses vectors to look for the most relevant pieces of text based on meaning, not keywords. However, the retrieval can go even further. Instead of stopping at internal data, some systems also pull in external sources like public datasets or even live web data. For example, something like the Oxylabs web scraper API can be plugged into the retrieval layer to fetch real-time information from the web, such as e-commerce data or SERP results. Whichever path your flow takes, the data doesn't magically update the model. It's simply retrieved, cleaned, and then injected as context before generation. So the model still does what it does best, reasoning and languages, but now it's working with up-to-date information. Just keep in mind, all the retrieval happens outside the model, and whatever comes back is passed into the main pipeline. Once it's done, the system uses both the user query and the system's instructions to assemble context into a single upgraded input prompt. This is why RAG works not because models are smarter, but because their inputs are better. And the best part, this same process can be used for many applications. Customer support bots, production assistants, research bots, or internal search systems. The logic stays the same, the only thing changing is the data. So why does all this matter? RAG gives you up-to-date answers, fewer hallucinations, access to private or proprietary data, and more control over where information can come from. And maybe the most important thing, you don't need to retrain the model. If your data changes, you just update the source or change what gets retrieved. That makes RAG much faster, incredibly cheaper, and easier to maintain than most alternatives such as LLM fine-tuning or full model training. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. RAG isn't futuristic technique. It's how the best AI systems already work today. Retrieval first, generation second. Remember, when ChatGPT searches the web, when you upload a PDF to Claude, or when Perplexity shows citations, that's Retrieval-Augmented Generation in action. Once you see that, a lot of modern AI suddenly makes much more sense. Want to learn how to build your own RAG chatbot with OpenAI and web scraping? We have a whole step-by-step guide linked in the description below. Or if you have any questions on how data can improve your AI workflows, email us at support@oxylabs.io or write to us via the live chat on our homepage. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one and consider joining our Discord community where we discuss all things web scraping. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.